everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Coco and Daltz. I'm not Daltz.
And I'm not Coco.
And I always say it's an exciting episode of Coco and Daltz, but today I really mean it because this is our 100th episode.
Yeah.
Thank you for hanging in there with us. We appreciate it. We actually have, like I said, something exciting planned for today. Instead of our usual real people doing real reviews, we're going to look back and give our 3 favorite things that we have reviewed over the years.
Oh, no, really? Oh,
Daltz.
I thought we were reviewing old wives' tales or something like that.
That's what we do. We just sit around and we talk about old wives' tales all the time.
I should have gone to the pre-production meeting, I guess.
The director is angrily beating on the window between the booth and...
Already.
So we have something fun planned right off the top.
Yeah.
We're going to try to guess each other's top 3, and now listener is tuning out. So
No, stay, listener. Don't go.
So who wants to go first? You want me to guess your top 3?
You guess, because you were fired up before the podcast button was pushed. You said, I know your 3.
Okay. I believe that Daltz's top 3
Yes.
of the past 99 episodes are Ad Astra, the Criminal series, perhaps only Criminal UK, but maybe the entire Criminal anthology, and also the recent David Tennant miniseries, Des.
Wow. So I will say to you that you have 1 of the 3 correct.
Only one?
1 of the 3. And we should clarify, listener, that we are reviewing, our top 3 list is of the things that we reviewed. So it's not of our podcasts about those subjects.
Right.
So it's the movies or it's the TV shows or whatever. So what are our favorites of all the things that we reviewed? So you have 1 of 3, Coco.
Wow.
But I will say that those other 2 are also on my list. Are also on my expanded list.
So is the one that I got right Criminal?
It is, yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes, Criminal UK, but specifically the Criminal series in general. I thought it was so tremendous. It was smart. It had me on the edge of my seat for the entire time, which, considering it was a primarily one scene, one set, I should say, and one scene kind of thing, whereas they're just in the interrogation room, and the dramatic turns with the dialogue. There were no car chases. There was no shooting. It was just really good. So yeah, I would say the whole series. So I was really enraptured by the glimpse inside the criminal processes of other countries. So how things are solved in other countries, in Germany, Spain, France, UK. So that was the dealio for me. And the UK season 2 was really good too. It didn't really move the ball. It just was more of the same, but it was just brilliantly done, I thought.
You thought.
I thought. So, yes, I know there were some problems with the misogyny and the sort of mansplaining-esque kind of part of it, but... And
don't forget the guy who got fired for being drunk in the station at the end of season 1 and then came back to save the day at the end of season 2.
Well,
I had some problems with that.
It just shows you that other countries aren't as uptight about alcohol as
That's true.
Some other places.
Especially the UK, where everybody just goes to the pub every night in non-pandemic times.
And after the pandemic is over, we're moving to London, so we can do that.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
I've lived in London before. I'll live there again. I'm cool with that.
So your top 3, I will try to guess your top 3.
Okay.
Number 1, Black Panther. Number 2, Avengers Infinity War.
I'm sensing a theme here.
And number 3, I'm going to go off the board and say...
any day now.
Any day now. I will say that it has to do with maybe the Valhalla murders.
You got 0 out of 3. You got 0 out of 3.
Wow. Was I even close?
I would say that probably, the Valhalla murders was under consideration.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. But so my top 3 of everything that we have reviewed are 2 recent ones. And you were close with the Marvel Disney area. The Mandalorian. Season 1 specifically of The Mandalorian.
That's their top 3.
Yeah, I would say that. Number 2, I would say Chappelle's Show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then number 3, going way back, Widows.
Ooh, Widows is on my long list.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah, I enjoyed Widows pretty good. And so tell us why you picked those, Coco.
Okay, well, so Chappelle's Show, it's funny. It's extremely edgy humor. I think everybody could use some laughs these days because we need some brightness in all the darkness that's been going on this year. So the episodes are short. You can get through them quickly. You know, it just started streaming on Netflix. So if you're with your family this weekend and you need a humor break, especially if you're in the States and it's a holiday weekend coming up.
Maybe not your family.
Well, no, I'm saying if you need a break from your family this
don't
weekend,
watch it with your family.
Yeah, don't watch it with your family.
Yeah.
So Chappelle's Show, super funny. I think it still holds up 20 years later.
Yeah.
The Mandalorian season 1, I really enjoyed. Disney, I have issues with the way they have handled the Star Wars franchise since they purchased it. But The Mandalorian season 1 and Rogue One are pretty much the bright spots. Those are both excellent pieces of storytelling. You can tell with the first season of The Mandalorian that fans did it. You know, it's not like
Jon Favreau.
Yeah, it's not the trilogy of The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker where there's just no through line. It wasn't done by people who are fans of the franchise. It was just a money grab. The Mandalorian, you can tell the care that went into it with trying to make it like be what am I trying to say? Like be
a continuation?
Not a continuation, but just like it fit into like the Star Wars universe that George Lucas envisioned.
Yeah.
Right. So the jury's out on the second season of The Mandalorian, but the first season, if you have Disney Plus, I highly recommend it. And then finally, Widows. That is episode 23. If you want to listen to our review of it, it was so smart. Just across the board, it was brilliant. The acting was amazing. The directing was amazing. The cinematography, the story.
The story was great.
You know, the plot, like everything just was. I can't remember exactly the grade I gave it when we reviewed it, but I'm sure it was an A, if not like an A+++, because that was hands down my favorite movie of that year.
Yeah.
And we don't, spoiler alert, we don't see every movie that comes out every year, but of the movies that we saw that year, I was like, this is number 1 on my year-end list for sure.
I remember when we watched that and then we were so high on it, and then the Oscar nominations came out later and we were like, where's Widows?
Yeah, it
was not in any of the running for any of the big events or big awards or anything like that.
And I don't know if that's because it was a heist movie and maybe they want more weighty subject matter to get nominations and recognition. I don't know, but Steve McQueen did a fantastic job of directing that. And then it had a great cast, including Viola Davis and Liam Neeson and Colin Farrell and Elizabeth Debicki, who's going to play Princess Diana in the upcoming 5th season of The Crown.
Ooh.
So if you haven't seen Widows, find it on a streaming service or friggin' Redbox it, because it is just fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. I like the idea of that story too, the fact that there are these women who are behind the scenes and you never really see them in any of these kind of movies. They're always kind of arm candy. Yeah. And they take the lead in this and they try to get back into it and get revenge and that sort of thing. And I really was impressed with that. That was definitely on my list. I've got a list over here that's probably 10 long for my top 3, and that's on my 10 for sure. I should mention what my other 2 are. So Criminal was one of my top 3. Marriage Story was another one of my top 3, as was Border Town. Oh, so Border Town, Coco dragged me kicking and screaming into that one because I was like, 3 seasons, really?
That's where adults was just like, I don't want to watch any seasons of anything anymore. I just want to watch movies. I'm done. Done.
I want to watch like YouTube videos for the next 3 weeks if we can help it.
TikTok.
Yeah, and then but it was really good, and the way I compiled this list, listener, was not necessarily things that I thought were the best, but that was part of it, but not solely. It was also what has stuck with me since, like things that I still think about. And the Criminal UK series and the Criminal series in general, that is one of those. Marriage Story, every time I see that, I think, I need to watch that again because that was just so powerful. And being somebody who's gone through a divorce, it just really resonated with me. And then also Border Town, every time I think about the way that they solved the crimes, it was great. The way the puzzles were put together. The lead character, Saronin, he was like a Rain Man detective guy, and he was really interesting. And I liked the crew around him, and I liked the crimes were really gruesome, and so there was a lot of severity there. And also, it's not exactly what I think of when I think of Finland. I don't think of a lot of these crimes happening in Finland. Like, it's just completely sadistic crimes and all that sort of stuff. But that aside, I thought that the way they got to the resolutions of each crime, and it wasn't just one episode per crime. They protracted them out. Some of them were 2, most of them were 3. The way they solved them during the course of the season, and so I was just really influenced by those episodes and by that particular series. And there, again, the Valhalla Murders was on mine for the same reason, on my top 10 list because of that. One of the comedies that I wanted to mention was the Eurovision song contest with Will Ferrell. I thought that was really good. In the same vein of, I was trying to find one of each kind of genre to put on my list, and of course we can't have a top 3 with 9 things on it.
Well, we're getting really close to it.
Well, these are all honorable mentions.
Okay.
And the musical aspect would be Hamilton. I thought that was a really good one too.
Okay.
And I know that you weren't a big fan of that, and it was a little bit long, but I really enjoyed it. So there are a lot of things out there, but I would say my top 3, I'm sticking with my top 3, which is Marriage Story, the Criminal series, and the Border Town series. And there's a theme here, is that it's kind of like some crime stuff going on, and I'm not usually into the crime, so this is all Coco's fault.
Yeah, Netflix knows that I love crime shows, so everything recommended for me is a British show or a crime show or a British crime show or a foreign drama or a foreign crime drama. So yeah, so sorry, Daltz.
And so
at least you're not stuck. So yesterday, Daltz was out for a few hours, so I started watching this Korean crime show, and I got like 3 episodes into it, and I found out today that it's actually like 16 episodes long. So I don't think you're going to be watching that one with me.
No, so I got to go out 16 more hours of the day, I guess.
Yeah, because they're all like an hour long.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't even know how much I really like it, but I think I'm a little bit invested in finding out who the real culprit is. So I might be kind of stuck.
So the crime series are definitely what we hit the most. Those are pretty popular too. Like, those are different, and they seem to be easy to make. I think one of the documentaries that I really liked that we didn't talk about was the Abducted in Plain Sight, which was another good one.
So we're getting really close to having a top 3 with actually 9 on it.
Right.
Because Daltz just keeps mentioning everything.
I just keep mentioning, yeah. And you're talking about the one that you just watched. So we're all going all across the board here.
Yeah.
But I think that that's just an example of other crime shows. There's lots out there, and it was really hard to pick 1 or 2. I will tell you that in terms of our top 5 most popular podcasts, this is not aligned at all with what we're talking about. But the top 2 are both podcasts that we talked about. The David Letterman Show, the number 2 season was our top podcast of all time.
Wow.
The first Letterman season was number 2.
I didn't even watch all of the second season because I was just so turned off.
You bailed on it.
I did.
American Murder, which is another doc, is number 3 right now.
That came very close to being on my top 3.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked it, but I've soured on it because of the things that I've learned since then and how it wasn't really quite balanced. The number 4 podcast of all time right now for us for downloads is Border Town.
Oh, okay.
Won't You Take Me To?
Da-da-da.
Border Town. And number 5, listener, we don't know what you're smoking out there, but our number 5 podcast of all time, Christmas Chronicles.
My theory, because we keep getting downloads for the Christmas Chronicles, which is 2 years old, if not 3 years old at this point. My theory is that people are finding us when they search for the Christmas Chronicles, because the Christmas Chronicles 2 is coming out this week, and they think that this is a review of the new movie, not the old movie.
Yeah.
So we will have a review of the new movie for you, because we're getting so many downloads on the original Christmas Chronicles podcast that we kind of have to do a review of the second movie, but
there's clearly some demand for it.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is the Kurt Russell starring.
Yeah.
He stars as Santa Claus.
Santa this year is a super spreader. I don't know if
Right.
he's going all over the world. I don't know if that's a good idea for him.
I don't know. We need some safe drops at the porch for Santa, I think, this year. Not coming down my chimney, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, he's old and he's fat, so he's got some pre-existing conditions that make him susceptible to catching COVID. So maybe Santa should just stay in the North Pole this year, and
Right.
the reindeer should.
I think maybe Santa should just use Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
Amazon Prime.
You know, I was wondering about that, because like all the TV news stations have like the Santa tracker on Christmas Eve. I was like, is that really a good idea for them to do this year? Because Santa is a super spreader if he's, really going to like Kentucky and the Dakotas and
Right.
France. So.
And is he going to be able to cross the border without quarantining?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Right? So how good is that going to be? He's going to deliver a package and he's going to have to wait 2 weeks and then,
Yeah. I think a lot of kids are about to have their Christmas dreams crushed. I mean, you've got to face reality at some point, kids. 2020 is the year to do it.
Coronavirus is really crushing everybody's dreams.
All right.
Did you want to mention something that you really hated of all the ones that we've watched?
Oh.
Because I can.
Okay, yeah, you go for it. You've put more thought into this than I have.
Well, I happen to have a list, but I'm not going to go over the whole thing on my list.
Okay.
I have to say that of all the ones on my list, what I was most disappointed about and did not meet the hype was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
The Quentin Tarantino directed movie starring Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. I really liked the idea, Brad Pitt being the stuntman to DiCaprio's star.
We love Brad Pitt around here.
And
he is a good Missouri boy.
I just didn't. It just was pretentious and it was not good. The dialogue was just not what Quentin Tarantino usually does. So I was really disappointed in that one.
Okay, well, I thought of something. So as we have previously mentioned, season 2 of Criminal UK, I will hate watch season 3 because like the final episode of season 1 and all of season 2 just made me want to throw things.
Wow.
But I will say, for purposes of this, season 2 of Goliath, I couldn't even finish it.
Yeah.
Like, it started off really good, and then it just went completely freaking off the rails.
Yep.
And this is another one that I did not finish. The last 2 or maybe 3 episodes, I tapped out. I was like, nope.
Yeah, you were gone.
I'm done. Like,
I had to finish.
I'm done with amputations and amputee porn, and I'm like, this just makes no sense. So I came back to it for season 3, which was an improvement. Still not as good as season 1, but yeah, Goliath season 2. Skip it if you can.
I was there with you. I had to give it a second chance. I had to finish it because
Dalton had to finish it.
I don't stop something. I have to finish everything that I start.
Now listener is going to think that I don't watch anything that we review, because now I've admitted to not finishing Goliath season 2 and also the Letterman show season 2. I didn't watch the last couple episodes of that either. So now listener is going to think that I don't take the podcast seriously.
I think listener will think otherwise, though. I think a listener will realize that you are the driving force behind the podcast, and I'm just riding on the coattails.
I told you I want to quit the podcast.
When?
I'm not. I'm not the driving force of this at all. It's you. It's all you.
All right. Well, so listener now knows that you want to quit the podcast. So,
but I'm hanging in there, listener.
Okay, good.
So
we need more listeners, listener. So
yeah,
bring them.
Yeah, tell all your friends about us. Share us. Tell them they can find us on Stitcher, Spotify, Pandora, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Google Play, IMDb, and Amazon Music. We are on all of those platforms. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find us there.
And send us an email at cocoandadults@gmail.com and let us know what your favorites of our 99 episodes. Not necessarily, well, you can tell us which episode you liked. I mean, the Zac Efron one is one of my personal favorites.
I'm surprised that hasn't come up before now because, yeah.
That's the episode, though, not necessarily the show.
Yeah.
But if you had a favorite that you want to bounce off us or you want something on the list, let us know because we're open-minded, listener.
We are. We got a lot of free time on our hands, too, because pandemic.
We're here for you, listener.
We are.
So thank you for joining us, listener, and thanks for 100 episodes because we couldn't have done it without you. This is amazing. This is a great milestone. Look for big things on social media because Coco's going to flash some pretty impressive graphics.
Yeah, I got some graphics ready to go in my computer. So as soon as we hit publish, we can pop that on Facebook and the Twitter.
There's going to be lots of fireworks and festivities galore.
You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Coco and Adults. Make sure to like and follow us on both places.
So thank you again for joining us, listener. You rock. We love you. For another week of the podcast.
And for another 100 episodes.
100. I'm not Coco.
And I'm not Adults.